Hello, welcome back. I'm Tally, and today I'm going to go through my anticipated 2025 releases, Fantasy and Romantasy edition. So as with my horror one, I will link it if you haven't watched that yet. I'm going to do the first quarter of 2025. I have 5 fantasy books and 3 romantasy books that I'm very much looking forward to, and will I get to them in the year they're released? Well, we shall see, won't we? So first on my list, coming out on the 7th of January, is Immortal by Su Lin Tan. Su Lin Tan has been on my TBR for a while with the Celestial Kingdom series, and I've not picked it up yet. And now there is a new book coming out, so I think this might be a standalone. Yep, this is a standalone. It is listed as a romantic fantasy. I think it's more heavy on the fantasy than a romance. I could be wrong, but as always with fantasy and romantasy, there are those books that kind of straddle the line. So this is set in the world of the daughter of the moon goddess, and we follow Lien, who is heir to the throne, and when she takes on that role, she has to renew the pledge that her people have for the immortals, to serve them as a thank you for the immortals coming to their side in a previous battle. However, one day Lien is poisoned and her grandfather steals an enchanted lotus from the immortals to save her life, which basically enrages the immortals, and they decide to come down and seek revenge. Next on my list is the Baby Dragon Cafe, which is the first in the Baby Dragon series, and this is by A.T. Qureshi, and this looks so cute. This was definitely one that caught my attention thanks to the cover. This is a cozy fantasy, and it's said to be perfect for fans of Legends of Lattes and Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Both of those books I adored. They both have like cute, quaint, small town vibes, which I really adored in both of them. And if this is that vibe, but with baby dragons, it's a no-brainer really, isn't it? So we follow Saphira, who opens up a cafe for baby dragons and their humans. And when she opened it up, she wasn't expecting it to be quite a difficult endeavour, but it does turn out to be that, and she has lots of mishaps, like dragons setting fire to her furniture, things like that along the way. Aidan is a local gardener and the local heartthrob. However, he is much more interested in spending time with his plants than spending time with his disobedient baby dragon. The two meet, and we have a grumpy sunshine dynamic, and it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And that comes out on the 16th of January. I can't remember if I said it at the beginning. Next on my list, this comes out on the 11th of February, and this is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. So this is the third in the Emily Wilde series. I have it in my head that it's a trilogy, so this would be the final installment, but I'm not 100% sure if it is a trilogy. It may have just been me assuming that. Emily Wilde is a scholar who spends her life in the pursuit of knowledge, particularly any knowledge regarding the Fae. And she, at the very beginning in book 1, she goes to a very small island to write about the Fae that are there. Her academic rival comes to join her, not on her request. He is called Wendell. She secretly believes that he is a Fae, and she doesn't understand how no one else can see it. And they go on a big quest, and book 1 is really fun. It's very cozy. It's a very strange book actually, because it's very cozy, but then there is a segment of real like heart pacing, like, oh my god, how are they going to get out of this? But overall, it was, for me, it was really fun. The books are written from Emily's point of view. So the first book in particular, I haven't read the second book yet, but the first book is her diary / journal entries. So it can be quite dry and quite academic in how it's written. So if that is something that you that you appreciate in a book and you haven't picked this up yet, it might be worth giving it a try. But yeah, the third one comes out in February. I need to pick up the second one so I can pick up the third one. Next is a YA book that comes out on the 18th of February. I will admit I have not read the first book, and this is the sequel, but the first book is on my TBR. So therefore I'm assuming I'm going to love it, and I'll be excited for the second book. Oh, cat's knocking over my lights, of course. Charlie. And that is Lucha of the Forgotten Spring, which is the second in a Lucha of the Night Forest series. And this is by Taylor K. Mejia. And I think that this looks really, really good. So it's a queer YA fantasy book. So this is a queer YA fantasy duology. And it is and we follow a girl who will do anything to protect her sister, even if it means striking dangerous bargains. So she ends up in a situation with dark forces, forgotten magic, scorned gods, and it is just a tale of her wanting to leave and have freedom, but at the same time she can't leave without ensuring her sister is safe. And the last fantasy book that I have down for this quarter is I Am the Swarm by Hayley Chewin. So this comes out on the 25th of March. So this is a novel that's written in verse, and it blends contemporary magic with feminist rage, and all of that sounds fantastic. I recently read Sunrise Nights, this one, which was a book that had some kind of verse parts, and I really enjoyed that. It was quite a good it was a really good way to tell the story, so I want to try more like that. If you do know of any, particularly YA, please let me know. So in I Am the Swarm, I Am the Swarm. In this world, as far back as anyone can remember, the women of the Strand family have been magical. Their gifts manifest when they each turn 15, and they always are in different ways. But Nell Strand knows that her family's magic is a curse. Her mother's age changes every day. She's often too young to be the mother Nell needs. Her older sister bleeds music and will do anything to release the songs inside her. And Nell sees the way that the magic rips up her family again and again. So when her own magic arrives, she decides that she is going to put an end to her family's curse. Now let's move on to my 3 romantasy books that I'm anticipating. The first one comes out on the 7th of January, and this is The Starlight Heir by Amelie Howard. And this is set in a realm that is on the cusp of being overtaken by eternal darkness. And we follow Soraya, who one day receives a gold-dusted court invitation. If you can hear my kids laughing, it's better than them crying, I guess. And she believes it's a joke. She is concerned for a while that they might be bringing her there as a potential bride, but she quickly dismisses that, and she is instead called upon to carry out a quest to find a missing shopkeeper. The next one I'm excited to read comes out on the 18th of February. I am going to be completely honest here. This isn't a romantasy. It's a romantic sci-fi, but I'm putting it here because I think everyone needs to know about it. And because it is by Kimberly Lemming, who has written the Mead Mishap series, which is a fantastic romantasy series. So if you like that, you might be interested in this. So this is the first in her Cosmic Chaos series. And the first book is called I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com. So when Dory and her lion best friend Toto find themselves in danger, they get saved by a sexy alien called Soul. They team up with some other people in a Wizard of Oz-esque timeline, and they are trying to escape the alien planet that also has dinosaurs. And finally, my most anticipated romantasy for quarter 1 of 2025 is the second and final installment, because I believe this is a duology, Rebel Witch for the Crimson Moth series by Kristen Cicerelli. So there's a second one to the Crimson Moth. I believe it's called Heartless Hunter elsewhere, and this was one of my top fantasy reads of 2024, top romantasy reads of 2024. I absolutely devoured it, and this is a YA fantasy. In the first book, we followed Rune, who was a witch in hiding, and she by day is known as a very trustworthy slash slightly airheaded socialite, and by night she is known as the Crimson Moth, who was someone who risked life and limb to free witches from the royal prison. In a cat and mouse-esque situation, Gideon, who is a very well accomplished witch hunter, he finds out that the Crimson Moth has been using Rune's ships to get the witches out of the realm, so he decides he must date Rune in order to try and find out who is using her ships. Rune knows that he is looking for her alter ego, so she decides to date him to find out what he knows about the Crimson Moth. They end up falling for each other, and the ending was just so heartbreaking, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. So there are the 8 fantasy and romantasy books I'm anticipating for the first quarter of 2025. Are there any that should be on my list? Please let me know. Please let me know in the comments, and thank you for joining me on this 12 days of Yule. Make sure to like this if you liked it, subscribe so you can be notified for my next upload, and I will see you soon. Bye friends.